Okay, let us deal with the last chapter, chapter number 8, the treasure. Here we need to fill the incomplete suspense. Incomplete suspense. In the last chapter, the writer leaves us in suspense whether Tom Sawyer and Becky Thatcher came out of the cave or not. In the concluding paragraph of the previous chapter, Tom heard a noise and feels happy that someone and believed that someone has come to save them. As they were very tired and hungry, almost they have been spending there approximately 4 to 5 days. And the candles were burned out, still they were in the darkness, and they don't have to eat because of dehydration, because of the exhaustion. Both Becky Thatcher and Tom Sawyer were very tired. Luckily, he heard a noise. So let us see what happened, whether someone has came to save them or is there anyone else. Okay, Tom went into the dark tunnel. He saw a light and heard a noise. And who is looking for us, he thought. Suddenly, he saw a hand with a candle. So before that, we need to remember the point that is, Tom did not take Becky with her as he was completely exhausted. So that is the good thing he had done here. So suddenly he saw a hand with a candle. So someone is there, he finally found. And he saw a man. It was none other than Injun Joe. Who is that? None other than Injun Joe. He is like a shadow. Who is like a shadow? Injun Joe. So both are following each other unknowingly. And Tom was terribly scared. So here we see the fear of Injun Joe in Tom's heart for so many days. But it was dark and Injun Joe did not see Tom. Luckily, Injun Joe did not notice Tom as it was completely dark. Injun Joe went away quickly. Tom returned to Becky, but he did not tell her about him. Tell her about Injun Joe. So, on being scared of Injun Joe, he left that place and came back to Becky. But he cleverly did not reveal who was there to Becky Thatcher because she was already very weak. And it was Tuesday, and in St. Petersburg, everyone was worried. The people came to know that Becky and Thatcher was already lost in the cave. It was almost 3 or 4 days. And where were Tom and Becky? On Sunday they came, but here already 3 days over. Many people from the village went to the cave and looked for them, but they could not find them. And Mrs. Thatcher became very ill. Who is Mrs. Thatcher? Mother of Becky Thatcher. He became very ill and Aunt Polly's hair became white. As she was thinking about Tom Sawyer. So both the families were worried about their children. And then on Tuesday night, there were a lot of noise in the street of St. Petersburg. So how many days had been from the Sunday? 3 days approximately. On Tuesday night, there was a lot of noise in the street of St. Petersburg. They are here. Becky and Tom are here. Cried people very happily. So finally, they came out of the cave. But we don't know how did they come out. No one went to the bed that night. So everyone listened to Tom's story about his adventure in the caves. So Tom informed the adventurous thing what he did in the cave, how he came out of the cave along with Becky. So here is the story behind it. We were lost for a long time. We were hungry and scared. Then I remembered the string in my pocket. Suddenly, he remembered that a string was in his pocket. What is a string? A string is a material that is twisted together as a chain. We can call it simply a rope, a long rope. Some are made of thread and some are made of iron. So here, such kind of material he had in his pocket. I used the long string to help me. I went down many tunnels and I always returned to Becky because I followed the string. So by using the string very cleverly, he put the string where the Becky sat, and by following the string, he tried to find new tunnels. And I followed the string, then I found another entrance to the cave. So by using that string, he find a new entrance. He discovers a new entrance where no one knows. It was very small and it was very near the river. So luckily, the second entrance of the cave was very small and it is very near. So through that second entrance, he came out of the cave. He escaped from the cave and he saved Becky Thatcher also. And Tom and Becky were happy but very tired and hungry. Becky stayed in bed for many days because she was weak because of dehydration, as there was no water. Tom stayed in bed for a few days too. Sometimes after the adventure in the cave, Tom went to visit Becky. So he recovers soon than Becky Thatcher, as he was a boy. Mr. Thatcher asked Tom when he visited Becky, his father, Mr. Thatcher, the judge, asked Tom, "Do you want to go to the cave again?" "Oh, I'm not afraid of the cave," said Tom. Still, he's in the same courage. "Well, nobody is going to the cave again. There are big doors in front of the entrance now." So that it is a surprise thing for Tom Sawyer. Why? What did Mr. Thatcher do? And I have the keys. He put iron doors and closed the cave with them by locking them also. And he had the keys then, said Mr. Thatcher. On hearing this, what? Tom's became white. His face changed in color. He was surprised. Why? Is something wrong, Tom? Asked Mr. Thatcher. And immediately he remembers Injun Joe. He said, "Injun Joe is in the cave," cried Tom. Many men from St. Petersburg went to the cave and opened the big doors. They found the villain, the Injun Joe, on the ground. He was dead. So though Injun Joe, we came to know that Injun Joe has been using the cave as his hiding place. But maybe Injun Joe didn't know the second entrance what that was discovered by Tom Sawyer. That's why, because of hungry, he starved to death. Near the doors of the cave and near the entrance of the cave. In the original book, it was said that he ate the buds of the candles, the remaining parts of the candle wax, and he ate bats also. He ate bats also. So because of this reason, he died. So whatever may be, the villainous character came to an end. Okay, let us see the next one. After Injun Joe's funeral, Tom went to Huck. Now that Injun Joe is dead, we will never find the money said Huck sadly. Because Huck tried to follow him, but unfortunately, when Injun took the decision to take a revenge on Widow Douglas, the plan was completely changed. They escaped from the place. So that's why he was unable to find the treasure. That's why he feels sad. So he declared that now that Injunjo is dead, we will never find the money. But here, the death of Injunjo gives Tom and Huck a very good relief. And said Huck sadly, "Listen, Huck," said Tom, "I know where the money is." So that is the thing he wants. "I know where the money is." "Really?" asked Tom with big eyes in half disbelief. "The money is in the cave." He told that the money is in the cave. How did Tom Sawyer know the money is in the cave? He is a logical answer. Here is the logical answer. I saw Injunjo in the cave. Why was he in the cave? Because he took the money there. Actually, he didn't know. On seeing him in the cave, Tom Sawyer predicted that Injunjo is using the cave as his hiding place, and maybe he hides the money also. So he said, because he took the money there. That's why he was seen in the cave, said Tom. "Say it again," said Huck. "The money is in the cave and we can take it." Because for this only they have been longing for it. They have been waiting for it. But we will got lost in the cave. So a doubt is expressed by Huck. That is, he has seen that Becky and Tom Sawyer had been in the cave without knowing how to come out. So that's why he expressed this doubt. We will got lost in the cave as Becky and Tom has lost. Now we won't. I have got candles and a long string. Let's go and get a boat, said Tom. So for every problem he had a solution. Who had a solution? Tom Sawyer, as he was clever. Okay, they took a small boat and went down the Mississippi River to McDougal's cave. We can call it a treasure hunt. So let's see whether they will get the treasure or not. They took a small boat and went down the Mississippi River to McDougal's cave. Look, Huck, here is the another entrance. So he took Huckleberry Finn to the other entrance because the main entrance was already closed by putting iron doors there. Said Tom. "It's very small," said Huck. Tom and Huck went into the cave. They were careful and used the long string to help them. The same plan is applied here, where Mr. Tom applied when he came out of the cave. When he get lost in the cave, Tom suddenly stopped and said, "I saw Injunjo here." He pointed out a place and said, "I saw Injunjo here." "His ghost is probably here too," said Huck. Here, the funny thing, the comedy here is, whenever he talks about the people who are dead and whenever he hears a ish sound, he always assumes that there is ghost. So, because we can say both the fellows are afraid of ghosts, particularly Huck has more fear than Tom. So let's go now. His ghost isn't here. It's probably at the other entrance. It's a funny reply gave by Tom Sawyer. That is, his ghost isn't here because Injunjo's dead body was found at the entrance, but here the boys are at the another entrance. So that's why he told it. And well, all right, but let's hurry, said Huck. Tom looked around slowly and then cried, "Look here, here is the cross." Why? What is the importance of cross? We heard the word cross to the Injunjo when they were digging a hole in the haunted house. The assistant said, "We will put it at the cross at night." So there was a black cross on the wall of the cave. "You are right, it's a cross," said Huck. Let's dig under the cross. They dug and dug. Finally, they found a small room. In the cave, there was a small room under the cross. There was a small bed, some old candles, and a few bottles. So, with these items, we can come to the conclusion that that was the small room was the hiding place of Injanju. So, where he uses to hide the treasure and his money where he got from robberies. And there was the treasure box. They opened it and saw the gold and silver coins. And we were rich, Tom, we were rich, cried Huck. That is wonderful. I always knew it, said Tom. Now let's take our treasure and leave. They followed the long string and were soon out of the cave. Thus, the treasure hunt was completed. Finally, the adventurous boy and the brave boy, Huck and Tom Sawyer, finally got the treasure for what they had been waiting. The two boys took their treasure to Aunt Polly's house. A lot of people in St. Petersburg saw the boys and the treasure. They followed them to Aunt Polly's house, and Aunt Polly was surprised to see the boys and all the people. She didn't understand first why all the people are following Tom. And Tom said, "And Tom, what is in the old box?" she asked. Tom opened the treasure box. Everyone is amazed, surprised, spellbound. They looked at all the silver and gold coins. There were $10,000. Tom told his long story about how Injanju won the treasure. It was a great story, and the people listened with their eyes wide open. Now, Tom and Huck were rich and famous in St. Petersburg. So, because of their brave act and adventurous act, they become rich. Who became rich? Tom and Huckleberry Finn. Particularly, it is very helpful to Huckleberry Finn as has been living as a poor boy, and he was treated as an outcast. Now, Tom and Huck were rich and famous in St. Petersburg. Huck was adopted by the kind widow Douglas. So, as the gratitude of widow Douglas, as she wants to show gratitude of saving her from the attack of Injanju, he finally adapts Huck. But Huck did not like this, because staying in a family and living under one's conditions is not convenient to him, because since his childhood is having very free life, he does whatever he likes and he eats whatever he likes and he wears dirty clothes. But when he enters a family, he need to follow some instructions. That's why he did not like this, but he feels that he will curb all his freedom. But Tom assured Huck that no such thing would happen. Thus both the friends were very happy. In the concluding para in the original story, Tom assured him, after some days we will do another adventure and become pirates. And he assured him to make him as a pirate. That's why Huck agreed to live along with widow Douglas. Thus, the adventurous and beautiful story ends with the treasure hunt. So thus the story ends. So here is the picture of treasure hunt. That was the conclusion of our 8 chapters. And if you want to know the entire story in a brief manner, there are 6 questions given at the end of the lesson, and 3 questions are on characters, the important characters in the novel, and another 3 are given as general questions. So we were questions on the characters of Tom Sawyer, who is the hero of the novel, and on the character of Huckleberry Finn. And the 4th question is, what is the part played by Injanju in the life of Tom Sawyer? It's a very important question. and we can expect in public examination also. So we have 4 questions on characters, and the fourth question is, so write at least 5 sentences about Becky Thatcher, Aunt Polly, and Muff Potter. So these are the minor characters. So another 2 important questions that are given at the end of the text is, write the main incidents of the plot or write the turning points of the plot. So both have the similar answer, and here we can see the turning points is, the first turning point is escape to Jackson Island, and before that Tom and Huck have seen the murder of Dr. Robinson by Injun Joe, and the second important turning point is the boys Joe Harper, Huckleberry Finn, and Tom Sawyer went to the Jackson Island and living there. And the third important thing is Huck's saving the life of Widow Douglas. And another important turning point is both Tom Sawyer and Becky Thatcher were lost in the cave, and the death of Injun Joe, and finally the treasure hunt. So these are the main incidents, so main events of the novel, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So by showing the characters of kids, the novel has a social criticism also, how the people behave. In the beginning of the novel, most of the people treated Huck as an outcast, and they never allows him into their houses, and they never invited him to the birthday parties. But at the end of the story, we see he was adopted by a woman and also appreciated by Mr. Wells and adopted by the widow Douglas. So that is about the story. I hope you enjoy, and if you read again every chapter, you will enjoy the story. So I suggest the students who have the textbooks to read again the chapters and practice the comprehension passages. Okay, let us finish our non-detailed section by answer the 2 comprehension passages that we have as paragraph number 13 and 14, that are taken from chapter number 8, The Treasure. So let us see. Here 2 incidents were happened there. How Becky Thatcher and Tom Sawyer came out of the cave by using the long string that Mr. Tom Sawyer had in his pocket. And we also have seen Injun Joe died in front of the doors of the cave that were put by the Becky Thatcher's father. And finally, Tom and Huckleberry Finn went back to cave through the new entrance where it was found by Tom Sawyer. And these are the major things here. And in this particular comprehension, what we are given is, Tom and Becky were happy but very tired and hungry. On hearing the noise, they were happy, but they are unable to move as they were hungry, tired, as they have no food and no rest for a long time. Becky stayed in bed for many days because she was weak. So as they came out of the cave with the smartness of by using the string of Tom Sawyer, they felt very happy, but they had to stay. They had to take rest for many days as they do not have food, rest, and water. So Tom stayed in bed for a few days too. And sometimes after adventure in the cave, Tom went to visit Becky. And Mr. Thatcher asked Tom, "Do you want to go to the cave again?" Then he came to know that Becky Thatcher's father put iron doors in front of the cave. Then Tom remembered that Injun Joe is already in the cave, and he took the people to the cave and find there the people of the St. Peter's have found Injun Joe in dead. So this is the incident we have. Let us answer the questions. The first question is, why were Tom and Becky in bed for a few days? What was the reason? We can write, because they have no food, no water, and no rest. As they do not have food, water, and rest for many days. That is the reason. And see the second one. Stay true or false. Tom doesn't want to go to the cave anymore. Is it right? No, it's a false sentence, exactly. Because after this incident, Tom went to the cave along with Huck to find the treasure. So that's why it is a false one. And see the third question. What did Mr. Thatcher say with Tom about the cave? Here is a direct answer. If you see in the line number 4, line number 5, he said that nobody is going to the cave again, and there are big doors in front of the entrance now. So Becky Thatcher's father said, Mr. Thatcher said that in the fourth line, if you see, you can find it. Nobody is going to the cave again, and there are big doors in front of the entrance now. You can write the two sentences directly. That's the answer for question number 3. And let's answer the question number 4. Why did Tom's face turn white when he heard that the cave is closed? On hearing the words of the Mr. Thatcher, his face became white because he knew that Injun Joe is in the cave. So here the answer is, why did Tom's face turn white when he heard the cave is? Because he knew Injun Joe is in the cave. Injun Joe is in the cave. So that will be the answer. And see the last one. What happened to Injun Joe in the cave? What happened to Injun Joe in the cave? He was dead. He was dead. He was died at the entrance. He was died at the entrance. So thus we can answer the 5 questions regarding comprehension passage number 13. And let's finish the last one also. They took a small boat and went down the Mississippi River to McDougal's cave. Look, Huck, here is the other entrance, said Tom. It's very small. And here, this is the concluding paragraph of the last chapter, and also as well as the novel also. How Tom and Huck went to the cave through new entrance that was found by Tom Sawyer and find the treasure near the cross. Okay, let us see. Why did Tom and Huck return to the cave after such a bitter experience? Why did Tom and Huck return to the cave after such a bitter experience? We can write, to find and take Injun Joe's treasure. To find and take Injun Joe's treasure. So that is the reason why they returned to the cave after the bitter experience. Of course, we do not have direct answer like this. So you can note this answer in your notebook or and the textbook directly. So the answer is to find and take Injun Joe's treasure. And here is a question, stay true or false. Tom and Huck believe in ghosts. Yes, exactly. It's a true statement. So whenever we have seen that in so many chapters, in most of the chapters, they talk of ghosts. When they went to abandoned house, haunted house, and when they went to graveyard, and finally, when entering the cave also, there was discussion of ghosts regarding Injun juice. And see the third one. What did Tom and Huck use to help them in the cave? The long string. The long string. That is the answer. What did Tom and Huck use to help them in the cave? A long string. And see the fourth one. Where did they find the treasure box? Where did they find the treasure box? They found the treasure box near the cross in a small room. Near the cross in a small room. Near the cross in a small room, you can write it. And the final question is, where did they take the treasure box to? The last line, if you see the last line, the two boys took their treasure to Aunt Polly's house. They took the treasure box to Aunt Polly's house. So these are the 14 comprehension passages we need to practice. Almost every chapter has 2 comprehension passages, and the number of the passages doesn't matter. What matters is whether you remember the questions or not. If you have the idea of every chapter, you can easily write down the answers for these questions. And don't expect, we do not have all the answers in the paragraph. Sometimes we need to write the answers on our own. So that's why I clearly explain each and every question and their answers. So note it down from these videos into your notes, and if you have textbooks, practice again. Write the questions and answer after them 2 or 3 times. So then it will be easy to you to attempt the answers and to can score 5 out of 5 regarding this non-detailed textual passage. So hope you enjoyed all the chapters of the novel, as it was a child story. And I will provide you the material regarding 6 questions. You need not to prepare all the 6 questions. It is enough for you to prepare 2 characters and 2 general questions, the main instance and the turning points. Both have similar answer. So it is better for you to have an idea on Tom Sayers character and Huckleberry Finn character and main instance. These 3 will help you to score in the comprehension in the non-detailed text. So thank you so much for watching.